Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Monday, April the 8th, 2019 meeting of the City Council of University City Council to order at 6:30 p.m. Ms. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Clay. Councilmember Carr.
Present.
Councilmember McMahon.
Here.
Councilmember Hales.
Here.
Councilmember Cusick.
Here.
Councilmember Smotherson.
Here.
Mayor Crowe.
Here. Thank you very much. You have before you the agenda. I believe that first off, a motion that the agenda be approved, then we have an amendment to come. Is there a motion by Mr. McMahon, seconded by Mr. Hales? Mr. Smotherson.
Yes, Mayor, I wanted to add a specific discussion. It's the name of the group now is called Aging Ahead, and I wanted to have a specific discussion and have that added to the council, other discussions and businesses under council reports and business. I want to
Is there a second? Is there a second? Second by Mr. Cusick. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. So we will have a discussion under council comments regarding the aging forward. The agenda has now been approved. There are no proclamations. You have before you the minutes of March 25th, 2019 regular session. Is there a motion for those minutes to be approved? Motion by Ms. Carr. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Smotherson. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will let the record reflect that I was not in attendance at this meeting and I will abstain. Mr. Hales.
I will also abstain as I was not here.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. You have before you the March 25th study session minutes for Better Together. A motion that they be approved. Motion by Ms. Carr, seconded by Mr. McMahon. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will also abstain. I was not at this meeting. Mr. Hales?
I will abstain as well.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. There are no appointments to boards and commissions, no swearing in. We will now move to our citizen participation section of the agenda. Those of you who have signed up to speak, please, when your name is called, please come forward. You have 5 minutes to speak. Please give your name and address. I will have a timer going. If you are speaking on an agenda item, then you will be called for that agenda item. The first section of citizen comments is for 15 minutes. If we do not get it completed during that period of time, then the rest of the citizen comments are done at the conclusion of the meeting. The first request to speak is from Ms. Diane Davenport. Could you turn the microphone on by hitting the button at the bottom center? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Diane Davenport. I live at 784 Yale. I am here representing the Senior Services Commission of University City, and on May 5th, we are hosting a wonderful gathering of senior citizens at the Heman Community Center from 2:30 to 5:30. The theme of this year's celebration is Connect, Create, and Contribute. Some of the activities for the afternoon celebration will include information booths like ARP, CORE, UCity in Bloom, the library, the Historical Society, Centennial Commons, the Senior Citizens Commission, and many others. Participants will hear music, dance, create a community piece weaving, and enjoy meeting new people. And I would like to tell you that some of our high school students, because I came to this meeting of the commission saying we've got to bridge the gap so seniors trust our youth. So some of the students from our wonderful presentation of the musical Chicago are going to come and dance and sing and join a chorus from one of the senior centers for a great finale, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So that should be fun. This is a very important group of citizens, as you all know, that we want to keep engaged in the many gifts of living in a community like University City. Please do come and schmooze so that you can mingle with our wonderful citizens. And thank you for your service to our community, and I hope we see all of you on May 5th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next request to speak is Zaki Barudi.
Good evening. My name is Zyke Baruti, and I reside at 812 Saxony Court in the 2nd Ward of this city. I'm here before you. The other evening, the Universal African People's Organization and the Green Party had held a forum around the whole issue of redevelopment in the 3rd Ward. And from what I gathered, talking to some people out of the 3rd Ward, is that there's a lot of uneasiness about the plan that has been put forth. So at that meeting, I did ask a question of Mr. Smotherson as to whether or not have there been a detailed study as to whether or not the citizens of the 3rd Ward, and for that fact, the 2nd Ward and throughout the city, were in support of this redevelopment plan. So I'm here to, because of what I see of a lot of dissension about it, whether or not the council be willing to do a detailed study moving forward as to whether or not that plan ought to go forward. You know, we are supposed to be a democracy, and the will of the people should be reflected in decisions of local government, state government, and federal government. So I'm here just to raise that issue and raise that question. So I just want to put that out there for your discussion. And then last, I want to close on a whole different subject, which some years back I had been here at the City Council to address. I noticed that there's a lot of different work that be taking place in U City by different contractors. And I wonder, in terms of black participation as it relates to various companies getting some of these contracts, and what is the policy on that? So those are the two issues that I wanted to raise. And again, I'm speaking on behalf of the Universal African People's Organization and the Green Party. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next request to speak is Mr. Tom Sullivan.
Tom Sullivan, 751 Syracuse Avenue. There are still issues surrounding the proposed Costco development at Olive 170 that need to be addressed. In particular, the timeline of what and when everything took place. About a year ago, the development was first announced. At the same time, it was said the developer, Novus, had purchased Jeffrey Plaza and had numerous homes on contracts. What was surprising is that no official action had been taken at the time. At the joint meeting of the school board and the city council last year, I asked for a timeline concerning the project, but none was ever provided. I asked for Councilwoman Carr's emails and not sure I got everything. Some information about Council members Carr and Smotherson's early involvement was sent to me anonymously by someone who seems to have knowledge of what was going on. What I wanted to know is what all took place during the year leading up to the announcement. A lot has been covered up. Why the need for all the secrecy? In particular, I want to know what promises were made to Novus. It isn't likely the company would buy Jeffrey Plaza and put numerous homes on contract without some guarantees. That would include the promise of being able to use eminent domain whenever it was needed. Along with the announcement of the project, the deception about eminent domain began. It started with public storage and just kept on going. You were all just making it up as you went along. I have a feeling that if the citizens of University City knew all that went on in regard to the Costco development, they would be surprised. There is a smell to almost everything about this project. A vote of the people of University City on such an enormous project should have taken place, but that was carefully avoided. The reason for that should be obvious. As you may have read, there's a new sheriff in the U.S. Attorney General's office. U.S. Assistant Attorney General's office. He recently subpoenaed virtually every document Steve Stinger had involving any involvement since becoming county executive. He even wants all the documents related to Sunshine Law violations. The county executive's office is also being sued for repeatedly not complying with the Sunshine Law by the Attorney General. If the mail or phone or the internet is used in violating the state law, it can then become a federal matter. That's what put some local politicians in prison. I wonder what would be found if there was a similar investigation surrounding the proposed Costco development. Maybe it would provide answers to questions that have not been answered. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Our next request to speak is Peter Burgess.
Hello, Peter Burgess. I live at 755 Radcliffe Avenue in U City. I wanted to reference what the speaker, a couple speakers ago at the public meeting last week asked the councilmen in attendance about the consent. What approval did the people of University City provide on this project? And the response that came from Councilman Smotherson was that the comprehensive plan update of 2005 covered this project. It was contemplated under that and included there. That appears to be the guidepost from where the city stands on redevelopment in the city, so that makes sense. In fact, the plan says so right on the first page. Quote, "The plan was developed to serve a variety of purposes, including the following," and then one of the items listed is, quote, "to identify the major redevelopment and revitalization opportunities in University City." It's quite relevant to the massive redevelopment project that the city is proposing along Olive Boulevard near the I-170 as far as the comprehensive plan goes. And just last week, we heard this being referred to. So while I agree with the idea that having a project that's included in the comprehensive plan update provides some basis to say the people have consented, the problem here is that what's being proposed is of a scale and scope that's way beyond anything contemplated in the comprehensive plan update. Instead of the wholesale redevelopment of all the properties that are in RPA 1, I won't define that, but I think you all are familiar with that, there are just 4 properties that are recommended for redevelopment in the comprehensive plan: Jeffrey Plaza, Briscoe Place Apartments, Bayers Lumber, and Public Storage. And I could not find any recommendation that the city provide TIF subsidies to this project, just general references to TIF as a financing mechanism generally. Ironically, what is included as a specific development idea for Olive is to create an upscale international district, and specifically references the Asian restaurants that were there at the time. So I'm just trying to get back to that issue of, okay, so where does this put us? We have this project, and yet it doesn't appear to be contemplated in the comprehensive plan. So it doesn't seem to be that, I guess, the evidence is there. So a couple other quick points. One was, I think in this situation, it would be great, because I'm sure with redactions of sensitive information, the city would be able to provide some information about the independent report that was provided to the city by Jonathan Ferry, which indicated what level of support was appropriate. In a situation where there was just one bid, that seems to be super critical to be able to say, okay, you know, we landed at the right place because there wasn't the competition to demonstrate that. So just want to make those points. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next request to speak is Richard Burke.
Good evening. I'm Richard Burke. I live at 6508 Etzel Avenue, and citizen of the 3rd Ward, also a recently retired teacher. I'm very concerned about the proposed Olive I-170 development. I am concerned about the possibility that rents and taxes may go up, thus forcing people out of their homes. I am concerned that the promised community benefits may not materialize. I think this is a ill-considered and rushed idea, and that should probably be dropped. Failing that, I would suggest that the council enter into a community benefits agreement, a legally binding one, that could at least enforce these supposed benefits that we would be getting from this redevelopment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next request to speak is Mr. Don Fitz.
Hi, folks. My name is Don Fitz. I live at 720 Harvard in University City. We had a program last Wednesday night, April the 3rd, about the proposed Olive Street development TIF, and I was very concerned when a councilman here this evening said that he was not in favor of a survey because the survey had already been done with the 2005 Comprehensive Development Plan. And as Mr. Burgess has already said, that 2005 development plan is vastly different from the plan that we're looking at today. Not only is the plan very different, I think it's really absurd to suggest that citizens will look at every sort of development plan when some are accepted and some are rejected. And instead, when a specific proposal comes forward, there should be a vote of the people. And we've already heard from this body that they're not interested in a vote of the people. Now we're hearing that they're not even, the body is not even interested in a survey. I'm also concerned that at the last time that I spoke before this body, the mayor said that that the issue is just a few people being opposed to it, and there hasn't been very much concern shown. Actually, I believe it was at the Mandarin restaurant, there's over 700 people. And one of the meetings I went to at the Mandarin restaurant, I heard people repeatedly saying how they're concerned with this development. They need to have community benefits agreement written into it. They need to have the specifics. They need to have everything laid out. They do not want something signed by the council without knowing exactly what it is. And I think it's disingenuous for the mayor to say, well, you haven't packed the council chambers. You've only had 700 people come to a meeting at the Mandarin restaurant. I also heard another council person say that, implied that there's more concern with stray cats than people possibly losing their homes and losing their places of business. As everybody knows, I think I worked on everybody's campaign except Stacey Clay, because I didn't know him. And I worked on everybody's campaign because I felt that the last administration of University City was not listening to the people when the people were saying that they were very concerned with ambulance service, and people were saying that they did not want historic buildings torn down in University City. And that the previous mayor said there's no reason to have a vote on historic buildings being torn down for the reason that nobody wants to do it. Now we're hearing very, very similar things from the current administration. It's like, you know, after the revolution, you know, a different set of bosses have the same faces. We have the same unwillingness to listen to people that we saw. And so the issues are different, but the substance, I think, is continuous from the previous administration to the current one. Oh, yeah. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Green Party of St. Louis, and I'm also a supporter of the Universal African Peoples Organization.
Thank you very much. That concludes the citizen participation segment of this portion of the agenda. We will not, there is no public hearing for this meeting. You have before you the consent agenda. A motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Mr. McMahon, seconded by Ms. Carr. Any discussion? Mr. Clay.
Yes, I did want to acknowledge that on the Westgate Road improvements, under the engineering service contract, there's a subcontract articulated for TSI that just does geographic soil work. It's a minority-owned company. It actually is located on Price Road, and I wanted to acknowledge the fact that the administration is making attempts to reach out to minority-owned businesses. Certainly want to keep that momentum going. But I did want to acknowledge that TSI is actually known around the country as one of the premier kind of, I don't know specifics of what they do, geological work. So appreciate that outreach being made and that company being brought forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. There is no city manager's report for this evening. We will now move to unfinished business. We have bill number 9383. Ms. Reese, would you please give the second reading?
An ordinance amending Chapter 400 of the Municipal Code of the City of University City relating to zoning by amending Sections 400.2010, 400.2070, 400.2130, and 400.140 thereof, and by adding 400.2145 therein relating to off-street parking and loading restrictions containing a savings clause and providing a penalty.
Thank you very much. May we please have the third reading?
An ordinance amending Chapter 400 of the Municipal Code of the City of University City relating to zoning by amending Sections 400.2010, 400.2070, 400.2130, and 400.2140 thereof, and by adding 400.2145 therein relating to off-street parking and loading regulations containing a savings clause and providing a penalty.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Carr. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Cusick. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Ms. Reese, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Carr?
Aye.
Councilmember McMahon?
Aye.
Councilmember Hales?
Aye.
Councilmember Cusick?
Aye.
Councilmember Smotherson?
Aye.
Councilmember Clay? Mayor Crowe?
Aye. We'll now move on to unfinished business. Bill number 9384. May we please have the second reading?
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Traffic Code to revise traffic regulation as provided herein.
May we have a third reading?
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Traffic Code to revise traffic regulation as provided herein.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Hales. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember McMahon?
Aye.
Councilmember Hales?
Aye.
Councilmember Cusick?
Aye.
Councilmember Smotherson? Councilmember Clay? Councilmember Carr?
Aye.
Mayor Crowe?
Aye. Thank you very much. The bill is passed. We'll now move forward with council reports and business. Mr. Smotherson, you would like to discuss the aging forward, or is there any? I apologize, I skipped a little bit. Are there any reports from any council members regarding the boards or commissions to which they are the liaison? Mr. Cusick.
Thank you, Mayor Crowe. I just want to thank the people in University City for supporting Prop L. That is to give our library some badly needed infusion of cash so that they can make improvements and bring us better services. I think that the vote was about 78% in favor of Prop L. And again, as the council liaison to the library board, I want to thank everyone for coming out and voting and supporting this. Thank you.
Ms. Carr.
I'd like to give a report on the Stormwater Task Force. At the last meeting, there were two groups of citizens that came to describe the problems that they have. While it's an unofficial hearing, the Stormwater Task Force is investigating some of the problems in greater depth, and they will be making site visits to some of those problems to get a better idea so that they can then complete the inventory and begin to make recommendations in terms of what kind of ordinances we may need, and also what we would do in the future to address the problems, ranking them by immediacy and otherwise.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carr. I will now move forward. Mr. Smotherson.
Thank you, Mayor Crowe. Just wanted to quickly and briefly introduce and let the council know of an incident that's happening at the community center. And there's a senior service group. The name of the group is called Mid-East Area Agency on Aging. And their new name, they're changing their name currently, and that new name is Aging Ahead. And what's happened recently, and we just were informed probably within a matter of about 2 or 3 days, is that that program is going to literally, they're considering closing at the community center. Now, they haven't decided that yet, but what they're doing is they've created this pilot program that they want their seniors to participate in, and what that means is that they're going to be asking them to literally ride out to the Edward Jones office where the YMCA is at, and to see what they think about being involved in that facility. But the problem that I see is this, is that what we, with the help of the city manager, help of Darren Dunkel, did I say that right? I want to make sure I said that. And I appreciate Darren getting involved. What we really came down to and found out that what's happening is they're looking for partnership, which they're not getting in University City. And that's something that we're going to discuss with the city manager and our parks director. And so I just wanted to let them know we just got that information, found out what really is going on, and we're going to be talking about that. So again, it's important that we support our seniors. I should say this, I'm a senior, so, and it's important that we, you know, what's happened, and it's just something that fell through the cracks. We weren't aware. We really weren't aware. And so now that we are, it's something that we will try to address. And I just wanted to make this council aware of what was happening, because it's very convenient and helpful to have them at the proximity of the community center, and that's been a program that's been long-standing for a while. So thank you.
Thank you. We have a number of Mr. Rose.
Honorable Mayor and council members, I just want to bring clarify that with regards to a partnership, the city, as far as our staff, had not been contacted. So we only learned of this last week when Councilmember Smotherson inquired as to what was happening with the community center. Our Park and Recreation Director, Mr. Dunkel, reached out and actually visited the Mideastern Agency organization to determine kind of what was happening. That was only after a couple of phone calls had not been returned. So we were acting very aggressive in trying to determine what was happening, and we're certainly open to recommending to the mayor and council a partnership, but we must first know what type of partnership are they seeking.
We do have a couple of citizen requests to speak on this. Dr. Gillespie? Okay, Mr. Jones? And when you step to the microphone, would you please give your name and address? And then, Mr. Jones, I don't know if you're here at the beginning of the meeting, it's a 5-minute time limit. And if you hit the button in the bottom of the bottom, you'll have sound.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Kennard Jones. I live at 1208 Pennsylvania Avenue. I am the president of the University City Senior Center, and we have been doing that, I guess, I don't know how long it's been since Mr. Schneider was on this board, and he made everything very very easy for us. As senior citizens, he embraced senior citizens because I guess he felt that he's going to get to be one sooner or later himself, and but I've been president for the last 3 years, and we've always enjoyed not only the enjoyment of meeting here in University City, but most of our members are located close to here, and getting here, it's just been a wonderful experience. And we just didn't know. We were told that you were closing us out and we had to get out, and we just wanted to be able to understand that and know that this is what you really wanted, because we are University City citizens. We love what you have done for us for the last 10 or 15 years, and we just would like to maintain it if we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Doctor, would you like to speak as well?
My name is Dr. Laverne Gillespie. I'm representing my mother that lives at 7179 White Oak Lane and the group. And if I could just ask all of the seniors from the group, if you could stand up or raise your hand. Just so you know that they are definitely supporting themselves. From what I am understanding, they were told that they would have to leave the facility, and they weren't provided a lot of information. With a pilot program, as you know, that's basically a feasibility study, which they have not been told then what happens after the study. And when will it happen, and what's the point? They've been told it has to do with money, and it has to do with not enough funds and not enough staffing. But again, we are asking hopefully that University City, now that we know that maybe we could partner with the group and with the Division of Aging and come up with a solution. So I just wanted to share some demographics about the group. They are mostly taxpayers and voters of University City. 99% are U-City residents. The other 1% come from Pagedale, Olivet, Wellston, and Clayton. On Mondays, they participate Monday through Thursday. They would love to do it every day. Mondays, 12 to 15 participate. Let me know if I'm off a little bit. 40 to 50 on Tuesday and Wednesday, so they have a robust group on those days. And on Thursday, 30. The ages are 60 to 94. My mother is 92. They are walking, they're active, they have fun, they have fashion shows, they do various activities, bingo, go on trips, all kinds of things. The staffing there is small, from what I'm understanding. The Division of Aging, the new name, whatever it is, they only provide 2, and then they have some volunteers. One of the challenges that the one staff person told me is that they have to break down every evening all the chairs and tables and then put them back up in the morning. That would be a partnership item. If maybe we could figure out a way that can they keep the tables up during those mornings, which are mostly each and every morning that the group are there, and not have to do that. That could help. Another challenge was that they are, the food is catered from somewhere else, and maybe there could be some type of partnership in that way. Those were 2 things that were identified that were challenges. Small things, I think. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think those are probably doable and fixable. And basically, that's it. The other point that I learned today was that Crown Center was one of the choices. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they would be bused out to the Y out at Edward Jones, very far away. And the program there supposedly is more freestyle. For example, one person could decide to do something, someone else could do something else, so it's not organized. On the Tuesday, Thursday, though, the plan was supposedly Crown Center. From what I'm understanding from them, Crown Center has said, no, we don't want to do this. So there's a problem. So I think that if I agree with Mr. Smotherson and the group that we are citizens of University City, they pay taxes out here. We've been out here since the 60s. I'm a senior too. I'm not there yet, but I'm a senior. I would like to see us partner in some way to keep the activities here for this group and the rest of them that couldn't make it today, so that they can have a viable and strong partnership with U-City and enjoy themselves for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Grace McGowan. I live at 1138 Blanchard Court for over 50 years. I've been at the community center for 17 years. And when they told me last week that I had to go all the way out to Maryland Heights, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. So I told my daughter, you have to take me out there and let me see where I'm going to go. So the first time I went in, I was get information. I wanted to go out there and see what we were going to do out there. You wouldn't believe that they were going to put us in the lobby, sitting with chairs and tables out in the lobby, where the public just come in and pass us by. All of our programs we would no longer have. I did that the first time. The second time, I said, I just want to go and look at the place again and see where I'm going to go. So I went in, I said, let me see where the washrooms are. I went and saw the washrooms, and I just stood there looking over the building. I can't come out here. I told my daughter, I said, how many handicap places are we going to have out here? I counted 4 on one side, 4 on the other. So I said, the handicapped people will have 8 places. But I cannot go out there. After 17 years at this center, I don't want to go out there. So something has to be done to make the seniors happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't anybody else get any wild ideas about coming up to the microphone, okay? there comes an age of privilege, and I think you've got it, clearly. So let's move forward, if we can, through the next part of the agenda. There's no other request to speak. Mr. Smotherson, is the discussion for your purposes? We're good to move forward? Thank you very much. We'll move forward with citizen participation. And once again, a 5-minute time limit, please. And when you come to the microphone, give your name and address. Barbara Chicarico.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Chicarico, and I live at 720 Harvard. I'm here tonight to speak about the proposed development at Olive and 170, and I do remain opposed to it. I believe the council is aware of the reservations that myself and others have about the development in the TIF, so I won't go back into that. But what I want to report or talk about was that recently I was canvassing some of the Third Ward neighborhoods in preparation for this meeting that we had last week about the project in the TIF. And it was great because I had lots of conversations with residents. And I asked them their thoughts about the projects and other issues in their ward. And more than one resident brought up rental properties that were not being properly maintained by their owners. And I was told by one, and I think we talked about this at the council meeting before, that there was an out-of-town landlord that owned maybe as many as 50 houses that were poorly maintained. And he told me, this one gentleman told me he lived next door to such a property and had decided to sell his house and move because of this. And as I said, I think the council is aware of this and was talking about ways to address this problem. So my thought is that we need to discourage irresponsible property owners from staying or buying property in University City, and to encourage Third Ward residents and property owners who are responsible and good neighbors to stay. So the other concern that was discussed was the possibility of increases in taxes related to the TIF, and the possibility that homeowners could not afford to remain in their homes. So if the development is approved, I think it is very important that before this happens, that this community benefits agreement is issued. And as part of this agreement, it would be stated that everyone who has owned property in the Third Ward for at least 5 years would not be subject to tax increase. And if there was a tax increase, this amount would be covered by the developer for the time of the TIF. Responsible renters should also not be subject to hikes in their rent. And of course, any of these agreements would have to be written into the TIF. I think doing this would put to rest concerns of the residents that would go a long way in building trust between the Third Ward residents, the council, and Novus. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next request to speak is Sonia Pointer.
Sonia Pointer, 8039 Canton Avenue. First, I'm opposed to the Olive and 170 development, the Olive 170 TIF that the City Council is proposing. I'm disappointed in the City Council, and I'm still asking you all to stop this project. Just stop it. It's time to pull back away from the project and start fresh. I want to bring up something that Wayne Smotherson said last week at the Black and Green meeting that we had, where Third Ward residents were involved, including myself. He said that in 2005, the residents of this community did approve this project, this proposed Olive and 170 TIF. And I want to go over the concerns that fellow neighbors have brought up today, because they've already told you that this doesn't reflect the project that the City Council is proposing is not reflected in the comprehensive plan. But what I want to go over is this. It says the comprehensive plan of 2005, and I'm reading from the comprehensive plan for the city, is an official policy document of the city that was adopted by the City Council. And let me remind all of you that none of you were City Council members at that time, and Gregory Rose was not the city manager. It says, to be an effective and meaningful document, the plan must be consulted by City Council, Plan Commission, city staff, and developers when considering land use and economic development issues. Again, none of you were council members or city manager at that time. It says the plan should also be used to support the zoning ordinance, development subsidy policies, grant applications, and other documents, and be reviewed and updated in 5-year intervals. This plan is 14 years old. The city did not engage the residents of this community and did not update its comprehensive plan to guide investment decisions in our community. 2005 was the last update. That means that 2010 should have been the next update. And then 2015 should have been the following update. And then 2020, that's next year, should be the next update to guide investment in this community. You all did not do that, but you're referencing a 14-year-old plan. It also says that the plan is a result of cooperative efforts of the citizens of University City, business and property owners, the Plan Commission, City Council, and city staff. I'm a resident of this community. I haven't had input on the comprehensive plan. In 2005, I was 22 years old. My 22-year-old self versus my 36-year-old self today has somewhat different values. They've shifted in some way. You all haven't engaged me to ask me what my values are, or any person in this community what our values are. I'm concerned that this project will displace residents, especially of the most vulnerable population, seniors included, fixed income people, low income to moderate income people, people of color, small business owners. If you all would have engaged this community and get our values and our priorities, like you were supposed to do with the update to a comprehensive plan, then we can move forward with the development. But since you all have not done that, I'm asking the city to stop this project, perform a comprehensive plan update, and then get our values, our priorities as a community, and then move forward with a project based on that.
Our next request to speak is Ms. Erin Ginsberg.
Hi there, my name is Erin Ginsberg. I live at 430 West Point Court. And Honorable Mayor and City Council, I'm proud to say that UCity's community cat advocates were able to participate in the annual pet clinic this past Saturday. While residents waited to get their pets vaccinated, we answered questions about trap, neuter, vaccinate, return, the safe, cost-efficient, and humane solution to pet overpopulation. Here's a copy of the informational flyers we shared. We appreciate the opportunity to partner with UCity's Community Development Department to stabilize and reduce UCity's feral cat population through an officially sanctioned TNR program. I also want to say thank you for having so many meetings about the Olive and 170 development. I attended almost all of them, and I've never seen a city council listen to as many of its constituents as you guys have. You have heard the residents who are mostly in favor of the plan, despite what Sonia Pointer and other people keep repeating. Okay.
Ma'am, please keep going, Erin.
I'm just going to say that I've attended the meetings, and where were these people when Olivet doubled their TIF in one meeting with hardly any citizen input? Where were these people when, I don't know, St. Louis City has 150 TIFs currently in place right now? No protests there. For some reason, ours is the only one you guys want to attack. So, well, anyway, here's the flyer on the kitty cats. We appreciate that, and thank you for listening to so many of your constituents.
Next request to speak is Ms. Mary Shapiro.
Hi, I'm Mary Shapiro, 7475 Amherst Avenue. Recently, I heard Delmar Boulevard was closed and over near the Walgreens, and found out that an elderly citizen had been hit by a car and killed. I just want to let you guys know I walk that area regularly. I have an elderly aunt who lives at the Brentmore at 170 and Delmar, and I do jaywalk near the Walgreens sometimes. But a couple of weeks ago, I was on the south side of Delmar, and I crossed Delcrest and continued, and there was a Jewish synagogue, or there was a synagogue or a Jewish community center or something with a huge, clearly marked crosswalk. And there were no cars going east, and so I started in the crosswalk, and when I got to the middle, there were cars going west. And I waited for probably 5 cars to drive by me while I was standing literally in the middle of the street. I'm a little spoiled because my son lived in the Bay Area for 10 years, and in Berkeley, if you even look like you're about to walk to a crosswalk to cross the street, there are 4 lanes of cars that come to a dead stop. And I know that that would be, you know, wonderful to expect, but I do expect that somebody in the middle of a crosswalk that's clearly marked is able to cross all the way across without having to wait for traffic. And I don't have solutions. I know we could maybe give citations if there's, you know, tickets or something, but it's dangerous. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next request to speak is Ms. Kathy Stratman.
Kathy Stratman, 6855 Plymouth Avenue. I live in the 3rd Ward. I strongly support the development, and I just want to clarify a few things. Don, that meeting where 700 people attended, maybe you didn't mean to, but I inferred from what you said that those people were in opposition of the Olive TIF development. They were there for information, of which we got plenty. I think our biggest problem is when I've been to every meeting. Information was disseminated, and apparently people aren't listening or aren't paying attention because false or misstatements and half-truths continue to be spewed out. And Don, I went to your meeting Wednesday night, and I have to say, could possibly have been the worst informational forum I have ever been to. Everyone on the dais was against the TIF development. Out of courtesy to you, both of our 3rd Ward council members were in the audience, as well as the developer. When they tried to answer questions at certain points, the people on the dais actually talked over them, so they weren't allowed to answer. If you want to give an information a forum the next time, I recommend that you have a little more balance on the dais. I'm speaking here now tonight because apparently somebody's keeping a fence post of who's for and who's against this proposal. So I'm speaking for it just so I get a little fence post for it. Everybody who's for this proposal doesn't come to these meetings and spout falsehoods and half-truths and have the lack of good sense and the lack of courtesy to say we haven't been informed. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last request to speak is Ms. Beverly Ann Johnson. There are no more requests to speak this evening. Beverly Ann Johnson.
My name is Beverly Ann Johnson. I'm a member of the senior group, Aging Ahead. I've been here be 5 years in July, and we have a good time. When I went to the center, I had a lot of problems going on, but I found love with my family, and they're sweet and loving. I also talked to Mr. Darren, and I would like to forward this information to him, please. Okay, I'm not going to talk long. Thank you.
Also, we have another person. Ms. Pointer, you wanted a second bite of the apple tonight?
You all need to start doing something about Sonia
name and
Pointer,
address,
8039 Canton Avenue. The people within this audience, you all need to stop encouraging this toxic environment. Stop encouraging it. Put it to an end. There is no reason for these people to get up here and reference me, and then you want to stop me from addressing them, which you can't. I want to address what these two community members who, I don't know, for whatever reason are obsessed with me. I want to address what they said about this Olive 170 TIF. If the city council and the city manager did his job, there wouldn't be uncertainty about who is for or against this project. This is the battle that we have in this community. What are you all doing to see who is for or against this project? You know that people of color, lower income, moderate income, fixed income people are traditionally underrepresented in the urban planning process, in community engagement. So what are you doing to engage them? I walked around and I talked to 160 residents, households in this community 2 weeks ago or a week ago. There are people who don't even know that this project is going on. What are you all doing about that? There are people who are not aware about this project and who have concerns. What are you all doing about that? You don't answer our questions. We don't know what's going on with the project. You keep saying you're negotiating. What are you negotiating? Where are the details for this project? A resident found a $20-something million error. What are you all doing with the project? What's the update? When are you all going to have a meeting with certified letters sent out to all of the members of this community so you can see who is for or against this project. That's what I'm waiting on, not speculation from a few people within the city council chambers. I'm waiting on you all to engage the actual community, the rest of them.
That concludes the citizen comment portion of the agenda. Are there any comments to be made by members of council this evening prior to adjournment? Ms. Carr.
Thank you. So some of you may remember several years ago where a citizen was removed from the council for speaking, actually right at the beginning of his speech. And this council has entered into a consent decree to make sure that we never limit the content of anyone's speech. And so we shall abide by that consent decree. Please feel free to come up and say what it is you have to say. That is your First Amendment right, and we will in no way abridge the First Amendment right of any citizen. Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues this evening? Mr. Hales.
Thank you. I want to start by thanking the city manager and our police department for again being very vigilant with our Washington University student neighbors. On Saturday there was another complaint of noise disturbances and then later trash, and it's kind of interesting. So this is the second time in slightly over a month that the same property at 6643 Kingsbury has been the subject of complaints and disturbances by the neighbors. Back on, I believe it was March 2nd, the Mardi Gras incident, which obviously drew a lot of attention. There were 2 summonses issued to folks at that address and 1 arrest. This last Saturday afternoon, late afternoon, we had 2 more summonses issued. So this property is not owned by the university, as I said, when I talked about this the first time. These problem properties where we have these issues repeatedly are privately owned. This one in particular, unfortunately the police did a great job again. The party dispersed, but this one in particular had an interesting write-up by a young man who lives in this building. He apparently writes for the Riverfront Times, and back in January 14th wrote this article, 18 friends wanted to lease an apartment building near WashU. What could go wrong? Now, I read the title and I thought, I know what could go wrong. That's not what he was writing about. It was really about the frustration of trying to get what is effectively a fraternity boarding house. And I don't want to say the fraternity because I'm not entirely certain, but he references in this article that 18 of them, the fraternity brothers, wanted to exclusively occupy the 6-family apartment building with 3 to a unit. The what could go wrong, I think, was more focused on the stress that was involved on trying to be the first group of kids to Roberts Realty, who manages this property, to be able to get it, because this and 2 other properties are the hot spots for these students. I'd just like to say to the owner of the property and to the property manager and to the students who continue to cause these problems, this will end. It is not acceptable for a young family to be calling the police because their baby can't sleep, or because they're being kept up, or because there is, out their back window, the property behind them is littered with dozens of beer cans and tables and things flipped over and trash and cups everywhere. Another property was also the subject of a complaint from this weekend. That was 6629, again, not owned by the university. That property, if you drive by tonight, my guess is you might still see the cans and bottles and cups and all of that. So this process is continuing, and I appreciate the police department's responsiveness and this council's, I think, willingness to really get on top of this problem and address it and put it to bed. One other thing I would like to respond to Ms. Shapiro's. Personally, the crosswalks on Del Mar I've dealt with for 5 years when I was on the Traffic Commission. I think it is time to do whatever we have to do to push the county to install solar lighted, push the button, light up the crosswalk sign crossings. They have been not willing to do that in the past. Whatever our county council members are, I think we've got Ms. Irby and Ms. Clancy. I'd like to enlist their help. It is time that all of them on Del Mar, and I would add the one on North and South at Gannon, be added because of the number of pedestrians that we have that cross that street every single day, and particularly with our rather large Jewish community. It needs to happen. So, thank you.
Mr. Cusick.
Thank you, Mayor. As you all know, if you've been outside, the weather is turning very nice, and it's time to start thinking about planting wonderful plants in your gardens. And, well, guess what? U City in Bloom's annual plant sale is at the end of the month. The opening night is Friday, April 26th, and then all day on Saturday, the 27th. And I would like to encourage everyone to come out and purchase plants, because it is U City in Bloom that takes care of all of the public right-of-ways and plants all the wonderful planters that we have. So come out and buy plenty of plants. Thank you.
I will make my remarks, and then I think we'll be ready probably for a motion to adjourn. I do want to take a little bit of a time to talk about some of the issues that have been brought forward regarding the Olive and 170 development. I think the one thing that at times folks seem to forget is that everybody sitting up here was elected by everybody sitting out there. And it's not one against the other. We were elected to do a job. Now, some of you may not think may think we're not doing a very good job. And that's fine. That is fair. But in this country, in this democracy, this isn't something where every decision comes before the people. It's not. It was never designed to be that way, and in our charter, it's not designed to be that way. You elected 7 people to make the decisions that we are methodically making. We have been told that we are moving too fast. We have been told that we are moving too slow. We have been told that we do not listen. We have been told that we are taking in too many opinions. Someplace in there, there's probably a middle ground. We've been told, we talked about the upscale development for the international community. If you want to go back to the last time something came up, regarding Olive in the international community, it was an idea to put $250,000 into a building owned by a restaurant owner to do a food kitchen, to which after 5 years we would not have any rights to the $250,000 kitchen we were asked to put in. So at some point in time, these decisions have to be made by someone. Another speaker tonight talked about the idea that we are rushing this because we are just like the previous administration when they outsourced EMS. That is about as far from the truth as it can possibly be. The outsourcing of EMS came with 48 hours notice, 48 hours notice to the entire public. It was a completely political decision, and we are now at least on month 14 of this development. 14. And when the folks from Better Together say that they've had meetings where 2,000 people have talked online and through different meetings, we've probably had close to 2,000 people at all of our public meetings for the Olive and 170 development. And no, they have not all been opposed. I think we all know that. We understand. Do I believe that if the development goes through, the property values will probably rise? I sure hope so. Because as you look around this room, to almost everybody in this room, the largest asset you have is your home, and you want it to go up in value, not down. So one of the things I'd like to also say, just as we sort of move through this, is when we talk about the comprehensive plan, it's true none of us were on when it was done in 2005, but I think you've also got to ask your question when you say the you need to and you should have done. I think some of you need to go back and look at who was in control in 2010, who was in control in 2015. And there really wasn't a lot of listening going on when any of us talked about updating the comprehensive plan. It never occurred. I agree it didn't occur, but I think we need to look back and see what actually happened and whose hands were on that one. Finally, the decision that will be made on this development will be made by the 7 people that you elected to this governing body to make that decision. My question as you go through this process, are your efforts helping us to make that decision or not? Right or wrong, are your efforts helping us to make that decision or not? Because we all know as we sit here, this isn't going to be a direct vote of our citizens. This is going to be a vote of the 7 people that you elected to serve as your city council. And it's a decision that will likely come in the near term. But as you educate us, as you share your opinions, as you address your concerns, we're the audience. We're the audience. And we have been at this now for 14 months at least. Have we made our fair share of mistakes? Absolutely. Are we learning every day? Absolutely. But please never forget, this isn't about the 3rd Ward. This isn't about Olive. This is about our community, the entire community, University City, and the 7 people sitting here were elected by the entire community. And we will go up or down based on any number of factors, and this may be one of them. But right now, we're all you got. We're all you got. And we need to move forward. Thank you very much. May we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. McMahon. Is there a second by Mr. Smotherson? Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The opposed? Ayes have it.